Let's see what we can do here. Can I even do this? Obviously not. Just minor picking there. That nail is still too big. You can see how the nail is out over all that flubber. You can see that's broken back, and you can see the bumper. All of that you see on the front of my finger is all dead skin. So this is all dead skin too, under here, and it has to go away. This is newer nail material. It's coming out, forming from back here and coming out. This is dead cuticle. I'm just going to give that a little pick. Getting started. So you see that cleared right there. See that? That's just dead cuticle skin. There's nothing to get excited about. If you have anybody that you know that's worried about, that has badly bitten nails, you might ought to steer them to some good information here. It has serious consequences. I am not back to the point where I can even start doing like regular nail maintenance. Yeah, I'll have to have real fingernails before I can do that. This is interesting because you can see here that not only has the nail broken loose and moved out a little bit, but the cuticle line back here is actually receding. It's going back now. It means I'm taking off enough of this accumulated dead cuticle that it's actually starting to break back and recede. And this is more closely adhering to the shape of the nail bed down there underneath. And it's a narrower profile. Let me see on the other hand if I've got another one that you can see. See there? See that? So this is a wing out here. And this is not, the nail bed is not that narrow. It's just this is what's getting out now since the cuticle collapsed. When this old top nail, which was far too big, it's one nail on top of another and each one gets bigger. So this big old top nail, which was just frozen in place by this cuticle skin forever and ever, it broke loose finally and moved out a little bit. So the cuticle collapsed down on that, and that's what's forming, like I've said before, like a Play-Doh machine. This is to a certain extent shaping this new material that's coming out. But the nail bed, once you get down there, this is supposed to be not flat like that, or cut off at an angle like that. But this actual shape is supposed to start down here and come up and over and go back down. You've seen that in magazine and hand models who have beautiful fingernails. Their nails go up and over and back down around. So the nail bed's down here somewhere, and all of this stuff in front is just buildup. But it built up so far that this nail material, when it comes out, ran out to the side and made these nails paddle-shaped. Okay, that's not a right shape. And now that this nail is broken loose and moved out, the cuticle has collapsed down. And it's making this new nail material come out in a narrower profile. But the nail bed itself may be all the way out to here. Okay, and it may be all the way out to here on this side. But we just haven't radiused down to it yet. It's like down here and further out. But up here right now, this is where the action is. This is where the new nail material is being squeezed out. And up here, this cuticle has collapsed. And so when I get all of this stuff out, the nail material may come out, well, it will come out in this whole profile, in that whole dimension of the nail bed. It'll come out uniformly, and it'll just be one nail thick, and it will be a uniform thickness. Right now, it's all bunched up here, and it's being squeezed out. And when I take this off, I may find out when this nail moves out on this side, the way it has over here, we may see that that's broken back and that the nail material is coming out in a thinner profile. It doesn't really mean anything because it's still sitting up there on top of a pile of trash. When we get down here, the nail bed is not this wide, right? It's this wide. Ooh, can I even find it? Over here. But this much skin on the side of my fingers is buildup, and it's overlapped, and you can see it. You see that collar. You see it? It's the same all the way around. The cuticle builds up in ring after ring after ring. And so if this much skin is lapped up over the nail bed, then the actual nail bed is out here. But it's not, there's no nail bed. The nail bed right up here is right in the middle because it's a section of a cylinder. It arcs up and over and back down. And nails, if you've got flat nails like this, you should know that's wrong. And all of this is flubber. When this nail is gone, you'll see this for what it is. It's like a big old eraser that you slip over the end of a pencil. It's just a bulb, like a flower bulb. So here we have the same thing. This is new material coming out. This is the old nail, cruddy brown material here. This wants to come off. It's the paddle-shaped nail that existed before. And the old nail before that was wider and pushed this cuticle out to the side more that way. You see how that works? So that nail material was coming out under pressure. It was coming out all the way over there. And the nail was all the way out here. You can see that. You can see. Okay, but that top nail now is gone. We're on our second or third or fourth or fifth nail that is broken loose and moved out. And as this material breaks back, it exposes more and more and more of this dead skin. I don't have a lot that's dried up enough for me to peel down because I did an extensive job of peeling all that stuff off yesterday. This is just going back and doing a little gardening here. You see? So a lot of that stuff has come off, is scaling off. And you see how flexible that is back there. This is new nail material back here. It's very rubbery. This stuff comes out brown. It's like snot. It's like rubbery boogers. And it filled up that crack there. This stuff will fill up all of these imperfections, make it smooth. The body will put out like a varnish coat, a wet coat, and it'll make a perfect new nail on top, and you won't know it except that it's discolored. It'll pick up this brown color, and your nails will be brown. This is one I did a whole video pretty much on this nail the other day. That's the side piece one is going to come off. This is interleaved skin and nail, kind of back and forth over here on the side. Again, it's built up. It's not, the nails are not supposed to be flat-ish. Occasionally you'll have nails that are shaped like this, where the cuticle has overlapped the nail and has locked it down, and you'll look at your nails and you'll see the skin goes like that, right? That's where the skin has overlapped the nail and locked it down like that. When it does that, when you turn it this way in profile, your nail will be shaped like that because it's stretched it tight, and the nail material coming out is plastic. This is where you get odd shapes in your nail. And you can have it on both sides. You can have both sides of the cuticle locked down here and here, right? And your nail will be shaped like that. Now come out, it'll have a ridge right down the middle. Okay, here, this is newish nail material, but it's still bogus, and it's covering all this flubber here. This should be breaking loose, drying up, and coming off, except for the fact that this new nail material is coming right back out over the old damage and reforming. This is what the body does. This is trying to make a new, good-looking nail to cover all this damage. Still just like this under here. It's just I managed to break this nail loose and it's moved out. And this is squeezing out new material over here. And I just haven't gotten back around to it yet. You know, you got 10 fingers. There's a, you know, there's things, it's going like a popcorn popper now. This is a serious detriment to your health, to your overall general health. I'm going to show you on this other finger. I just did this morning. I've had a real hard time with this finger right here because up until just this morning, it was pushed out like that in a triangular shape. It actually went, at one time it actually went up like that, up in the corner and back down here, like this. And this was a hard collar out here, and you can still see it. That was all callous, and once I started, and for years I couldn't feel it. It would just may have felt a little hard, you know, but it wasn't painful. It wasn't until I started to relieve the pressure that I could really feel it. What are we going to be growling about? Huh? Hey, you going to go over there and mess with a Doberman? Is that what you're going to do? Sadie. Just because you know the Doberman can't do anything about it. You know you can get away with murder. But you see, this morning I picked this out. Sadie, you're going to have to go. Thank you, baby. So I just picked this out this morning. This was all, the nail was still here this morning like that. I picked a piece of it out. And then there was all this stuff that was crudted up underneath there. And there you see that where it spilled out. I've gone into this before, I think. And you see it on the side. If you pull it down. So I'm actually managed to get in there and cut a little more of the nail out in that corner. And that's relieving more of the pressure. Hey, hey, hey. Hey! Clyde, don't you start trouble. Hey, get back in this house. Come here. Come here, Brandy. Come on. In. That's great. That's great. Soccer ball came over the fence from the school next door, and Clyde went after it like it was an intruder. That needs to pick out. There's a source of pressure has been unbearable here in this corner. And you see how the rest of this is picked out, and it's revealed that all of this is just layers and layers and layers of dead skin. This is going to come out, but this nail is not supposed to be flat like that. This is where the dead skin got built up high enough that the new nail material coming out is jacked up so high in the air that it's spilling out over the dead cuticle skin that is built up. It spills right out over that collar, and the nail flattens out. And that's where your nail, see, that's already, there's so much buildup over the nail bed that the nail, this is where the nail starts to lose its shape. It spills out and it becomes paddle shaped, and it pushes this cuticle out further and further and further out to there. And then when it gets out, it comes out even wider and it gets round. You see people that have paddle shape look like ping pong paddles with fingernails. Your nails are supposed to be parallel on the side, straight and parallel. Okay. So that's just top nail, cover nail. And when all of this comes off, you'll see that this is supposed to be round. This cuticle skin here, under here, wants to come back and be round. And this red, this is showing you that collar. This is at least that much dead skin overlapping the back of my nail bed. And there's at least that same amount, because the cuticle is the same dimension all the way around, and it's all one piece all the way around. You've got the same amount, whatever that is. If that's 5/16 of an inch, you've got 5/16 of an inch here, overlapping the nail bed, and here on the sides and here on the highs. So my fingers will go, or the profile of my fingers is going to radically shrink. Even though once all this stuff is gone, and the new nail material comes out and forms in direct contact with the nail bed, my nails may actually go back to being larger than they are in the interim, because right now they're diminishing. They're all damaged. They're all waste of the body. They're all cover nails. They were made to cover up the damage that's been done before, and they're too large. So, but once they all go away and all of the skin goes away that's overlapping the nail bed, the new nails that form there's a substantial chance that they will be larger, and they'll look normal. They'll be semicircular. They won't be flat. They'll go up on the side and across in an arc, in a nice smooth arc, and go right back down on the other side, and they'll look like a section of a cylinder. And this will be a smooth arc all the way around, back and back. And it'll drop down on the sides almost square, right? When you see people whose fingers are right, this will want to drop down over here, almost square, and just do a nice tight little turn down here and come out like this, and you'll see the whole nail. The whole nail will be exposed. There's supposed to be very little skin, if any, overlapping the nail, especially on the sides. Only on the back. Only back here should the skin actually be over the nail. So these are problems you've got that you just can't see. They're hiding in plain sight. You see? This is dead cuticle skin. You can be relatively unafraid of this. It's been a long process. And what goes wrong is you get the waste through your body bottled up under the skin. Would you really be surprised that after 50, 60, or 70 years that this accumulated dead cell material would erupt like boils right through the skin? That's what I think's going on. That's why I see people on the bus. It scares me. I mean, I saw a guy on the bus a few weeks ago, and he'd had his forearms amputated. Okay? If you don't think that's serious, what is? And they could have been just from this. Just like me, his mother never mentioned, my mother had beautiful fingernails. And she could have been a showgirl, you know what I mean? She was a good-looking girl. And she would sit around and work on her fingernails when she wasn't doing anything else. She had all the stuff. And she would dress her fingernails and kept them perfect. And from the time I was 5 years old, I bit my fingernails and bit them badly. But I was a boy. She never said one word to me about biting my fingernails or how I should take care of my fingernails. Nobody ever showed me anything about that kind of hygiene. That's a particular kind of hygiene. And I think there are a lot of guys out there, especially guys, who have never in their whole lives, much less every day, pushed this cuticle material back every day and made sure that it was broken loose and oiled it, whatever else they do. Who knows? I'm not a girl. Nobody ever talked to me about it. But that's where all this damage came from, is I never did regular, I mean, absolutely every day you have to do nail maintenance. Every day. I think the human being needs a lot, it takes a lot of time and attention and care to maintain the human being. And a lot of it we haven't ever had the luxury, the time to do. We're getting now to the time where everything's going to get better. We've got the food. I see these kids now. I saw an Oriental kid in the a burger place the other day. Commercial door frames are 7 feet tall. 7 feet tall, and the door frame took this kid's hat off walking in the door. Hey, you get them over here and you feed them beef. I think I've never been a religious person, but there's something in the Bible about somebody who lived to be 178 years. I think we're going to see lifespans skyrocket. Yeah. Right, it's been 62 to 85 maybe, and now it's going to be 75 to 95 or 102. And then it's going to be 85 to 115 or 117. In my own lifetime, there was this lady, and this has been a long time ago. She was 135 years old when she died. She was French. And they said at the time that she had been born when Abraham Lincoln was president of the United States. That's in my lifetime. So I think we're just coming into our own, and I think they're kind of missing it, because to me, I think we've passed a kind of a hinge plate of history. You know, I used to hear my grandmother's a historian, and she would say that thing, you know, those who don't know history or whatever are doomed to repeat it or whatever. I forget what that saying is. But actually, I think that the last 50,000 years past is prologue. I think a lot of that stuff actually does not going to apply. I think everything has actually changed. There was the first 50,000 years, and now we're in the next second 50,000 years. And a lot of the analog stuff either wasn't known, you know, our analog knowledge is passé. We're in the digital age now. And we're going to know more and more and more, and it's going to be better knowledge. So look to the future, not to the past. You see that? That's just all laminated in there. And that's all dead skin on the front of my finger. This is all going to come off. And you can start to see the discoloration. This is brown. It's not, you can't see the blood vessels under there. You don't get a pink. You don't really get a pink color from it. So, in this other half a nail, if I ever manage to get this broken loose, it'll travel off too. But I had a book. It was Modern Agriculture or something. It was published at King Plow in Atlanta around 1950. It had some great stuff in it. It had pictures of those, like, you know, things you used to see in the textbooks of the 50 mule team pulling the McCormick harvester, you know. So here's something you didn't know. Up until 1947 or 48, more than half the grain that was drilled in this, they call it drilled when they plant it, up until 1947 or 1948 after the war, More than half the grain in this country was drilled by animal power. It was only after the war that it went to mechanized. And we went from that 1947 and 1969, 47, 57, 22 years we were on the moon. So that's stepping out, is what that is. When I was born in 1952, it had only been 50 years that doctors washed their hands before they did surgery. They laughed about it. Hygiene. They couldn't see bacteria. They didn't have microscopes. They didn't know what it was. And they laughed it off. And now we can actually engineer. They've done the genome, and you can actually engineer a cure for a disease like ordering it off a menu almost. It's just going to explode. It's amazing. We've turned the corner on physical reality. We actually know. Nobody's guessing. It's not going to be. Science was hit and miss. It was do an experiment and see if it worked. Now they're going to know it's going to work before they do it. They're going to be able to eliminate most of the bogus things that they would have tried before. They're going to know before they start that they're not going to work. They're going to start with 3 things, if they even have to do that they know are highly probable. It's not going to be like Edison trying, 13,000 different filaments to find one that would make a light bulb work. That kind of experimentation is not going to be necessary. So it's going to pick out, but it's awkward to do it here and try to do it under the camera. But see, that's what's holding the snail up and keeping it. And you can see right there. And that cuticle is locked down. Once I turn it loose, that'll move out. It won't have to move out far. And on these, you see that's where the cuticle was locked across there like that. Sometimes they'll be like that, where it comes rather sharply across the corner. But all of this is, this is like basically the cuticle line where it's turned loose. This is a bubble. See, all of this is still planted in skin here. It's still embalmed in the front here, so it's making this new stuff trying to get out, stubbing its toe on this. It can't push this out because it's embalmed in skin. I've got to pick this out and get rid of it. So this new material coming out is bulging up like a bubble behind this because it can't do anything about this. It can't force its way out yet. It's amazing they don't see it. I said in one of my videos, I said, doctors go to school to learn, and then they take what they've learned and they take it out and they go into private practice. So guess what? If they weren't taught this in school, they don't know it. So when you walk into your office with it, if they've never been taught it, they can't see it. They don't know what they're doing any more than you do. Stuff like this. That's going to come right back, and that circle is now you'll see that bumper, right? All of that is buildup that's rolled up and over the nail bed in front. It's covered over, it's flat in back and coming over the nail bed here. But in front, it rolls up and over. This is the leading edge of the cuticle, though, all the way around. If the nail wasn't there, this would be just be circular. And where the cuticle is building up like this and swallowing the nail bed, this is what we're exposing, is that this cuticle line underneath is smaller and smaller and smaller. But the nail coming out over it to cover all that damage, it can be larger and larger and larger. So you can have big, beautiful nails, and they'll just be covering up all of this damage. And when they break back, see, because my nails, I've got pictures that, and if you go back, there's a video on my feed. It's like the second one I put up. And it's a really ugly video because I was trying to take pictures off of my gallery on my desktop. But I've got a picture of my fingernails, and if there's one of this thumbnail, my thumbnail was like out to here. And there was more dead skin that I peeled off that was on the front. And then there was a nail sticking out. And it was gigantic. I thought thumbnails were supposed to be huge, right? Not necessarily. I think it's the other one. If you look on that, it's 13 minutes and 28 seconds. I think it's this finger and this finger. You'll be amazed at how wide, how big the nails are. And how good they look, you know what I mean? I had already started to pick at them. They didn't, you could already tell that I was digging, turning into a pick fest maniac. It's like a pig pick here, pulling a pig. I only went to one when I was a kid. Cooked the pig on a rick. Carried it inside on a table that had linoleum. You got to take it inside or the flies will eat the barbecue before you get a shot at it. So they carried this pig in. They had a big table there that was covered with a sheet of vinyl. And they held it about 3.5 feet up in the air and just dropped it. And it slumped. And then everybody got around it and started. The hard part about pulled pork is actually pulling it. Cooking it's easy compared to picking it all apart. So that's why it takes about 10 or 12 people. You sit there for an hour shredding that pork by hand. You have to break it up really good. See how rapidly things have changed. Once I saw, driving by on the road, I saw a mule turning a cane mill, sugar cane. And my mother, we grew up without plumbing. And her father was a lawyer. They lived right in town, and they didn't have plumbing. And they were middle class. You know, and these guys that, hygiene was terrible. In the 1890s, people didn't have, even these big apartment buildings in New York, people didn't have plumbing. And so that's why they kept their shaving mug at the barbershop, right? They didn't shave at home. They didn't have a sink. They didn't have running water. That all changed when people got plumbing. Before then, you kept your shaving mug at the barbershop. And the reason the barber kept a cabinet there with steam towels in it, they put that on your face to steam the blackheads out. That's why they wiped your face that way with. They put that hot cloth on your face and steamed your face, and then he'd squeeze it, and I can remember it. They wipe that really hard. They squeeze your nose without you knowing it. They'd squeeze all the blackheads out on that towel. That's because you didn't take a shower. you didn't have one. We don't realize how lucky we are. It's all small stuff. People complain about everything, and pretty soon the question is, what are you going to do with all the time? You know, housewives used to spend all their time sweeping. I can remember watching my mother polish a wood floor with a brick, with a felt on it. Had her hair up in a do-rag. And that'll melt the pounds off of you. It was real exercise. And now you're going to lay in bed and while the robot mows your yard. And the question is, what are you going to do with all that time? Are you just going to complain? Or you got something better you're going to be doing? Amazing. I bought a car and I took it up, and I just wanted to go up in a national park somewhere, and I didn't realize things are funny out west, you know, elevation changes. And when I got up there and I realized that I had left, it's not the first time that's happened to me. I'd left the desert and I'd gone to the mountains, basically. And I got up there and I realized it was going to be freezing at night. And I didn't know if my car had antifreeze in it. I just bought it. And I was in a panic, and I called the dealer. I called my maintenance service tech guy at the dealership. And I said, I'm up here and I don't know if I've got antifreeze in the car. And he said, David, if that car needs antifreeze, it'll tell you. I said, oh, okay. Not to worry. Smarter people than me that have already been there and worked on that one. If my car needs oil, it tells me. It's not a gauge. You get a warning screen that comes up and says, check your oil right now. I remember watching my grandmother. She was so happy when she got a TV with a remote. And we didn't, and when I was a kid, we didn't have a TV. They had TVs, but they cost $600. And I remember seeing that people still had some discretion. My grandmother had a good job in Atlanta, and her mother lived in deep South Georgia, and I lived with my great-grandmother down there in the middle of nowhere. And there was one TV station that was over in Columbus. And my grandmother bought her mother, my great-grandmother, one of those big old square Zenith TVs. Set up on a box. And my great-grandmother, that TV cost $600, which is as much as an automobile. You could buy an automobile for $600 in 1952. My father bought a brand new Volkswagen in 1959 for $900. Brand new car. And I remember my grandmother bought a 69 Nova. I think she paid, the list on it was $3,500 or $3,700. She paid $2,400 for it. The trade-in. She traded in her 64 Nova. She had a 64 Nova and she put aftermarket air in it because they just invented air conditioning for cars. We don't realize how things are just galloping ahead. And when we moved to Texas, and right after John Kennedy was killed, we lived in a brand new subdivision. All my friends that went to the high school I went to lived right downtown where Lee Harvey Oswald had lived. And none of them had ever had air conditioning. And when I lived in Atlanta before we moved to Fort Worth, we had an attic fan. People sat around with their windows open. We didn't live a buttoned-up life with air conditioning. But I can remember watching my great-grandmother. The time I was born to the time I was 8 years old, I only saw TV one time. And that was one time I was sitting there, and I can remember seeing my great-grandmother sitting there looking at this little box over in the corner that was lit up. And that was the one show a week she watched. She watched one show a week. They didn't have news, and it was Liberace. I can remember the piano and the candelabra on it, and some guy was banging away at it. I had no idea what it was. I was 4 years old. And then we moved to Germany, and they didn't have English language TV in Germany. So I didn't see TV until we came back. I was 8 years old. The first things I remember seeing were the Real McCoys and Car 54, Where Are You? And my brother and my dad watched the presidential debates in 1960, but I didn't. Kids aren't interested in current events. I don't remember that. I remember them watching it. My mother expected me to go out and play when I got home from school. Stay out of her house. I lived practically a rural life right there in Atlanta. I didn't sit around the house and watch TV. We didn't have one. I mean, we had a TV. I think when we went to Germany, I think we had a TV. But there was nothing on TV. I never remember seeing it turned on but once or twice. I think I saw Achtung Lassie once, and that would have been about it. That and Liberace until I was, 8 years old. I don't think I missed much. Come on now, come on out. Peel on out. When you get working right, that whole thing will just peel out. And I want it to. I want to get rid of some of this stuff. Do that. All dead skin. And once it's gone, it's gone. Off my body. There are other things on your body that are either part of your body and then they're not. I look at all this trash that I'm generating here and I'm going, yesterday this was part of my body. I've been carrying this stuff around for some of it for 65 years. It's all trash. No telling what kind of trouble that causes. All dead skin. That wing wants to come off, you know. I just don't want to cut it off, not yet. There's a limited amount, you know, you can put up with in terms of how sore your hand's going to be for how long. You know, I've gone, since I've been making these videos, I think this is important. And I have gone weeks, actually, where I couldn't. I have a dishwasher, but I've never used one. I've never had a microwave. I'm terrible. I had a microwave. It sat there. Somehow I didn't trust the damn thing. So. But I haven't been able to wash dishes because my hands have been so cut up. Oh boy, that's coming out. See, I thought that might be a nail flake or something in there, and not just cuticle skin, because there's all this damage, you know, when you're buying your fingernails, and you get down there, and you aren't able to pull that last little piece out. It just gets embalmed in there. I've been digging out lots of pieces of nail that just got left, you know. It just got left and embalmed in there with all the rest of the trash. But you can see that's just, that's clearly separate, right? It needs to come out. It's slightly painful. And now with the new material coming out, it's coming out over some of this dead cuticle material that's embalmed in there. But it's okay because the new material is going to have to come out too. It's still covering up a lot of trash. But when I pull this, if I pull this out, it could pull all the way around and pull up this new material that's poorly formed at the back that's still rubbery. Let's see. I don't know what I did with my whatchamacallit. Oh, there it came. It's a nice big hunk of stuff, huh? All dead cuticle. Oh, it's going to bleed pretty good. But that's what's blocking the nail in. It's keeping the new nail material from coming out. It's got to go. So it's got to go. It's going to go. When you're watching these videos, I've got this thing set up. It's backward. I'm looking at it from this way. I'm over here, right? And the camera is set up. The controls are over here on this side. Ooh, here. So the camera's actually backwards because the lens is up here. And I've got this sitting on a boot jack. So I'm making it upside down. So when I look at the video, it'll be that way. So if you want to see this the way I'm looking at it while I'm making this, which sometimes it makes a difference, then you're going to have to either flip the image or turn off auto rotate so you can look at the image upside down without having it jump around on you. But it does. So that's good. I wanted to get that out. Just cleaning up that cuticle line quite a bit. And I don't want to pick this side out right yet, but it will. Well, if it wants to come right out, it will come right out. I have developed the bad habit of looking at the screen instead of my finger when I'm doing this. Which is actually a little on the dangerous side. New tools are incredible. You know, this is my other camera. I didn't use my other camera, my other phone. I've got a new one. It's got 8 times magnification on it. That's as much as a jeweler's loupe. You can inspect your diamond ring for flaws with the camera on your phone. I got something in my eye the other day. I turned my camera around. You know, I flipped the thing around. I held it up to the corner of my eye. 8 times magnification. I could see what was in the corner of my eye. What a blessing it is. My grandmother used to say that about everything. Oh, these wonderful tomatoes Miss Sadie brought us. They're a blessing. She's a blessing. Everything's a blessing. Okay. All this old garbage has got to come off. These nails have all got to get sprung loose. Travel off. Disintegrate once they get loose. Once they get loose from the cuticle, travel out, and then they start to break up and disintegrate. And then you'll see the real horror story that's underneath. I'm glad I didn't go to the doctor for this. I know exactly what drugs they would have prescribed for it. I waited a year before I looked on the internet to see what other people were doing. I went for the analog, not the drug. It's clear to me the drugs don't work. This does. This is an analog version of curing psoriasis of the nails. No digital solution yet. I'm hoping somebody knows what they're doing will come along and see this and figure out, the real shortcut. It may get this down to 3%. You go into the doctor 3 times. Clear off. This that I've been picking at for 2 years. Because I'm convinced that this is causing major problems for a lot of people, and they don't even know. Can't be good for you, could it? Look at that. All of this is trash. That's clear, isn't it? And I think what you're seeing there is that there may have been some kind of blockage there, and the nail material, which is plastic, came out and flowed around it, and back down and out here. If something gets blocked, like a nail flake or something down there, then this plastic material doesn't fight it, it goes around it. Perfect example right there. It's dented in. It just fell out. Big old hunk. And it could have been in there 50 years. Sometimes you can get under that collar, like right there, and just roll it out, peel it up, roll it up. You can see it start to separate along that line. I'm not cutting through anything. I'm rolling it out on its natural line. Unless I miss. Okay, you can cut through stuff. This is just that collar's drying up. And the next one tomorrow, the next layer will be drying up. Wonder what I did with that. I moved it on the other side of the room. That's what I did. Ooh, doggies. See, that's all callus. When I get under there and I pick at it with this, you see the whole thing move. See that? All the way down here. All of that other stuff. Yeah, excuse me for a minute. I'm going to get the forceps. See if I can't pull it. Hey, doggies. So I've been talking about in these videos, I've been talking about the fact that I think that these white lumps I see under my skin, I think this is the dead cell material that's been bottled up. I finally went and got this out of my toolkit. It's a wooden wallpaper seam roller. I've added it to my kit of tools for working on my fingers, and what I'm going to do is I've got a hard lump right there underneath my finger. A lot of these, my fingers have deflated quite a bit as these nails are broken loose, and there's, I think, this dead cell material that's been backlogged under my skin, these white lumps, splotches, they're starting to move out. But I've got some lumps under there that are hard. I'm going to try to start rolling them and see if I can break them up, get some of this stuff to move out. Might be a nail flake. It might just be skin. Who knows? Didn't get it. Nope. A little tiny piece of it. I need better forceps. You see there's still that layer that runs all the way around. Hard to say right now if that's skin or... See, between each, it's possible that there's a nail flake between each and every layer of cuticle, just because of the way you were biting your nails and forcing a new cuticle to form every day. Because that's what happens. I think you bite through the cuticle. The cuticle is all one piece, goes all the way around. So when you bite through it here, it dies, I think. I think a whole new cuticle forms, and this leaves the majority of the old one there. And it goes on, and they just build up and build up and build up. So, but that, in between every one of those can be a nail flake that you left that you weren't able to pull out with your teeth. I found dozens of them buried down there in the corners. That's a hell of a dent right there. I know it looks painful, but it really isn't. It's all dead. Didn't even get that. Yeah, I did. Got something. Something is something. Nothing is nothing. There we go. We get it? No, it slipped out. Not much. It felt like it pulled it a little bit. There we go. And now you see that bevel. It comes right out and around here and around the front, and it fills up that gully that you see there. It goes all the way around. It's the cuticle line. And this nail has come out over it, but it's been filled in just like a ditch that gets silted up. You know, in South Georgia, we used to have a ritual we did every year called clearing the ditch. This ditch has been silted up with dead skin. But what happens is this skin rolls up and over and down inside. And when the nail breaks away and you clear that out, you'll see it, like here. You'll start to see it. You see how that's filled up there. Right? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll take off a little bit of that side nail too. You see that? That's a layer. And it's just layered right up against the nail. See, all that bumpy stuff is sitting on top of the nail bed. But it's not the same shape. It's not the right shape as the nail bed. It's all flattened out. Ooh-wee. It's a little tender. We may not want to mess with that much more. Because it will dry up on its own. In another day, it'll feel like coming out. It won't cry and complain. Like this dry skin is coming off without complaining. It's just callus. Goes right on around. It's just dead skin on top. It's like sunburned skin. And it's discolored. You see, it's brown. I hope this is helping somebody, because I could do this without making videos. I guess it's worth it if it keeps one poor SOB somewhere from having his damn forearms amputated. It'll be worth it. Unbelievable. But it ought to be obvious, you know, that this is how this is just an avenue for waste to come off of the body. How good could it be for you to have any kind of waste bottled up in your body? Sometimes you just take and pull back like that, and it'll separate the layers. You start to see what's going on. It's the first time I did that, and I pulled it down, and I pulled it away from under the nail, and I realized I could get the blade actually up under there and peel a chunk out. It's just laminated up over the nail and over the nail bed. Cuticle skin. Stands to be a little tender there. See how rubbery that is? Came out right there. You see how that's been misshaping everything. See, your cuticles want to be smooth and even and flexible and disconnected from the nail. Not hard and rough and irregular and jagged and glued down to the nail. So if you got any of that going on, you got problems. I'm still going to go and dig out some of these pictures I've made of other people. Oh, I can actually spot this stuff now from across the room. You know, if you've got a nice wide strip of white nail in front here and it's all wavy, it means that the nail is not in contact with the nail bed. It's built up on a bunch of junk like this. And it's not a real nail, and you might as well just go ahead and cut it all the way off. As far back as you can. It's not doing you any good. You're just pretending you've got fingernails. I see that all the time. Wavy, disconnected nails. Nails that are white, have white run down the side like that. If you've got white, if it looks like the front of your fingernail is supposed to look on the side, it runs all the way back there, it means that nail's not in contact with the nail bed. I see pits and grooves and all kinds of damage that I know exactly how that damage happens now. Let's see here. Fairly awkward position here. Teach your children how to take care of their fingernails once you figure it out yourself. You should do this every day. Not this. You're supposed to break your cuticles loose from the fingernail and oil it, you know. Keep it nice and flexible, uniformly shaped. And for God's sake, say something when you see them sticking their fingers in their mouth. You say something when they stick their fingers up their nose. Dead cuticle skin. Okay. And another layer, 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 until it's all gone. See, you're only supposed to have one layer of cuticle. Only supposed to have one layer of skin. Dermis and epidermis, only supposed to have one cuticle. Not supposed to have 5 nails stacked up one on top of the other. See all of that, you remember what it looked like? All that laminated over? It looked just like nail. This is nail. But this over here was skin, but it could have been nail. Could have looked like nail. Did look like nail. You don't know. I'm over here, by the way, not over here. But it doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm working on my fingers like this. I'm over here. I rarely ever work on them when I'm holding them like that. Sometimes you have to turn. It's actually helpful. I've noticed when I'm looking at these videos, reviewing them and stuff, it's helpful to turn the camera the way the operator is actually looking at the work. Just like, it can be like looking at a chessboard if you've ever played chess, you walked around and look at the other guy's position, it's completely different from over there. It really is. That's why you don't do it. It's like the strategy thing. boy. Whew. It's getting a little tedious here. Ooh-wee. That was fun. There we go. And you see that whole thing. It's all callous. I'm poking it with a razor blade, guys. It's separating nicely. Let me see how that's built up. See how that digs down. We're starting to make real progress here. After 2 years of just peeling off dead cuticle skin, we're finally starting to see it break back, go in reverse. Which is what I want to see. All got to come off. All the old dead nail and all the old dead skin. All has to go away, even if I'm left with no fingernails at all, and that's probably what's going to happen. It's got to uncover the nail bed. All dead. Dead callus. It doesn't mean you can't bleed yourself. Oh, no, you can. Ooh-wee. Slipped. Thank you, Claude. Wonder what that is. Starting to get curious, probably an Amazon delivery truck. Oops. Oh well. Okay, that's how they used to pull out. This guy was actually able to get a hold of. They're more choppy now that I'm further along in the process. I used to pull out long strings. I could pull the cuticle out all the way around. But that's when I had a lot more buildup. I wasn't as close to the bone as I am now. Oops. You drop your surgical instruments on the floor. You got dog hair. So you don't have to push any one too far. You know, tomorrow it'll be easier because it'll be more dried up. You know, the next layer will reveal itself. You don't have to really overdo it. It's going to work in your favor after a while. But you realize it's largely a process of realizing what's actually going on, because nobody seems to get it. Okay, that didn't quite want to come. Right there. It's laminated in. It's all part of this. That nail is starting to, side nail is starting to want to, I'm losing the light. It's getting to be late afternoon. This is wanting to delaminate. You see it runs all the way back up under there. This is where I had it all bitten off. And so the new nail material came out and filled this in, and it got cemented along that crack. Well, now this is coming off. Either that or this was a top nail that had, you know, broke up into pieces, which I think may have been what happened. But when you chew off a chunk like that, the body will make a repair nail just right there if you're biting your fingernails. And this is split along that line. And if I try to take that out, it may run right on down to the cuticle. I mean, right on down to the nail bed. it can be a little dicey. You don't know exactly what you got. Sometimes till it's too late. And that's very rubbery. This is the repair cement that flows into that crack. It stays fairly flexible until something else, a harder coat, comes out and covers over it. I took a little chip off of it, just right off the top. Trying to encourage it to go away. Gotta be right careful when you're doing that. Okay, now we're just short of getting this to peel off. Woo! There we went. Holy Moses. Okay, so there you see it. All junk. And this is all part of it. This has all got to come out. This will all break back. When all this breaks back, there's more skin, more cuticle skin rolled right up over. It's going to break back on this line. Then the cuticle line is going to be round and smaller. We may not pick at that anymore today. Give it a chance to rest up. But it's necessary. It's all of this nail, all the nail you're looking at, all of it is all junk. It's not anywhere near the nail bed. The nail bed's still buried way the hell down there. And my new nails are going to want to be on that nail bed, not up here in the air. I mean, when this whole nail comes off, this nail could come off right back to there, right? And then you would see that this is all just a round pad like this, bulbous. But when you got nail that's sticking out to there, and you've shaped it, you know, the skin comes up over the nail like that, and it comes all the way out, and you've got it, the skin over the nail all the way up to there, all the way out, and then you've got that little half crescent of white nail in front, and it's all the way out to here. You don't see any of this, but it's under there, and it's all dead skin. And you think your nails are beautiful. No problemo. Dead cuticle. And when this nail breaks back, then this will separate, and this front leading edge of all this dead skin will start to dry up, and I'll be able to just scrape it down like I'm doing on all the others. Freed that up quite a bit, huh? There's no pain there. It's bleeding, but there's no pain. If I were to stick my knife in there now, there would be. But what I just pulled out was actually dead skin, impacted dead skin. It ain't pretty, but it feels better when you're done. And now you start to see the bumper in front, and that little lip of laminated skin or whatever it was there. It comes off. And then that groove that runs around inside there, like I said, I've just described it as the cone of a volcano. It rolls up and over and back down in, but then that groove, that dent around, that shows that this is all just flubber that's laminated up on the front of the skin. It fills in with skin. It fills up. And it becomes just one big mass, and you can't see what you got. And now you'll see that if you can look up under there, this wonderful magnification we get, you'll see that this is where the nail starts to flatten out and flow out over. Whoops, that was tender. Flow out over this dead cuticle material that's built up on the outside. You can tell that's a wing. It's a little thicker, and it's sticking out dead straight. It's not following the nail bed around and down. and the curve that it would naturally have. And over here you see where it's lapped out. Absolutely straight right there. Flattening out and running out like pancake batter to the side. And under that you can see where it's been building up, straight up. Ooh-wee. So there's dead skin under and over the nail. Too flat. Those of you that saw the hour and 45-minute video I did the other day, they looked pretty bad when I got through. You saw how, but they had recovered pretty well by this morning, right? It didn't look all that bad when I started here. That just popped right there. And it won't look all this, which looks horrible now, right? I'll wash my hands. I'll brush. I have a soft, a big toothbrush, big and soft. Looks like a miniature scrub brush. And I'll brush all this loose stuff off. I'll scrub and clean. And tomorrow my fingers will look relatively normal again. Who's grumping? Who said grumping? Do I have 2 dogs in here? I do. And where's the little one? Sadie? There she is. She's got nothing sticking out of the blanket but one ear. She wiggled it for me. Here I am. Sorry. Ouch. Mm. Ow, 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 ow. Mm. Mm. There you go. Wow. It could be cuticle or it could be a nail flake. Sometimes up under here, when things get jammed up, the nail material will try to flow up and over, and it will just leave a sliver. It will form a sliver of nail that doesn't actually doesn't get anywhere. And it just leaves it under there like that. I've pulled out a few of those. They're fairly rare. I don't know if that was one or not. Well, it's going to bleed well. Get my mineral supplement. All the iron you need, right, in your diet. But see, now that's going to bust that nail loose. And you see the profile of the new nail material coming out underneath it is already a much smaller dimension. Yeah, buddy. That was good. So we're past it now. And the other thing is that this now this seems to be breaking back. You know, this, whereas the cuticle line was here. And the thing, when the nail would finally break loose, it would move out like a 1/16 of an inch. But now this whole cuticle, this cuticle line is receding now. It's moving back. which means I'm starting to expose some of this nail bed that has been covered by built-up cuticle, and I'm gonna call that real progress. See, this fingernail might want to be from there to there, and then have the little white crescent on front of it, right? But all of this wants to be gone, except wherever the nail bed is under there. All dead skin. All callus. It's like callus on your foot. Ow! That slipped. Jabbed me right in the tender spot. Ooh. You can start to see that this is built up now, this build-up. It's thicker, it's too thick. That's pulling out. It's like the old days. I can pull them all the way around. From this side, you get a hold of it with the forceps. I can pull it all the way back around to there. But that's pretty rare, these right now. Oh, yeah, come on out. Come on. You believe me now? The cuticle is all one piece. Like a hem, the hem of your pants. And that's just the top layer. And then this one, tomorrow, this layer underneath will be drying up. It's another whole cuticle. That's about tender enough now for me for one day. Woo-wee. Looks lovely, doesn't it? It does to me. I've lived with all that pressure and all that buildup and all that crud on my hands for 67 years. And now I'm watching it go away. I wondered why these nails look familiar, you know. It's just because I've seen them before when I was 7 years old. Finally figured it out. And this is probably all skin here. It's just laminated up right to the bitten off nail. It doesn't feel like nail material there. The nail materials came off the top of it. This is skin that was formed up right to it when it was bitten off. When I had these nails bitten off to nothing when I was a kid, if it was all the way back to here, then the skin formed right up, the cuticle skin formed right up to there. And everything that's grown out since then has grown out, been pushed out, just like this new nail material has come out over the skin. And none of it has been attached really to the nail bed since then. And none of them have been real nails since then because they aren't attached to the nail bed. The nail's supposed to be attached to the nail bed, not free floating up in the air. And if there's enough pressure on this nail that it presses down on the material underneath, then it'll look normal. It's only if you get an airspace in there or some separation, and then you'll be able to see all kinds of white splotches in it. Or you'll have a nail that goes back to here, is white and it's wavy, or it's splotchy and has white that runs in and out of it like that. That's because it's not attached to the nail bed. It's not properly grounded. And it never has been. I see it all the time on the bus now. People let the nails grow out even though they're not attached to anything. They won't trim them off because they like to pretend that they've got nails. And they say, well, I've got psoriasis in the nails. Actually, you just don't have nails, not real nails. This will come off soon. Brandy, are you sharpening your claws on the bed? Brandy, cut it out. Cut it out. Don't tear up your bed. That's Clyde's bed anyway. No. Grunt and groan. Thinner and thinner and thinner, narrower and narrower. Oops, you slipped on that one. Dead skin laminated up underneath the nail. They're in the ditch. Much better. I do believe it's getting better. A little better all the time. There you go. I'm going to turn that loose. That's a good thing. See, the impaction is keeping the old nail material from moving out. It's because this is all buried and still dead laminated in to dead skin is why this can't get out. And until all of this is off of the nail bed, until all the old material is gone, I have no hope of reestablishing real nails that are the right shape. It's the object of the game. It's starting to make real progress here. After 2 years, just picking out miscellaneous cuticle skin. It took that long for me to start to even realize what was going on. When I started making the videos when I started figuring it out. I mean, when it started to become obvious that it was more. Back in November, I think, I made it a point to try to get the cameras and get set up to do it. Because I realized that this is a major source of disease for a lot of people, not just me, and that it was going to be worth it. Well, I'm probably seriously losing the light here. I can see, but you can't, so let's see if there's anything I need to... No, we didn't even touch that, hardly. But you can see that's all laminated down. They're starting to break stuff free and getting some trash out. There, we got some more we could do right there. But it's a little tender. It's always more. So far, there's always been more. I did this morning, and this is pretty tender. But it's ready to break out. That is all. This is all dead. This is all dead skin in here. Trimmed off some of it, and this impaction was under it. And so hopefully we'll be able to pick that out here pretty soon. Ouch. Ooh. Ouch. Ooh. Ow, 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 ow. But you can see how much stuff is sandwiched in there between the nail and this collar out here. And that's all dead. It's a crescent-shaped plug of callus. And here in the next day or two, it'll dry up and be a lot easier to take out than it is now. And it'll be book matched on the other side, all of this over here. So we'll trim back to there. And all of this will come out. Whatever's buried up underneath there in that corner will have to come out. So we're going to call it a day. I'm tired, and I know you are too. I really hope this helps somebody. I'm not doing this for me at this point. I know how to fix. I know how to get there from here. I don't need a map. You do.